Hi guys and welcome back to the Toffee Blues. Welcome back to another live stream. I'm joined with Jordan again. We're here to sit down and talk about transfers today. There's been a bit of transfer news over the last sort of 24 hours or so. Obviously after that shocking end to the season on Sunday. Leighton Baines retired and it was just an awful day. And over the last sort of 24, 48 hours there's been a couple of players linked with moves to Everton and a certain quote from a certain Richarlison that has gotten social media a little bit stirring up. I'm joined by Jordan today. We're going to sit down and talk about it. How are you, mate? How you doing? But I suppose you felt exactly the same as the rest of us did on Sunday, not only with the result, but with obviously the Baines announcement.
Yeah, it was just wasn't the greatest end of the season at all, was it? I thought Baines might have stayed for another year, but I was more disappointed in the result, to be honest. It was just a terrible game to watch.
Shocking.
But also relief that the season's sort of over now and we can refocus. How are you, mate? All right?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm the same, mate. Look, again, the game was absolutely dreadful. I was just made up that the season was over and we can put it behind us now. Worst league finish in 16 years, finished 12th in the league. It was dreadful. You know, we had Southampton who were beaten 9-0 at home earlier in the season, finished above us. You know, Burnley, I think, finished above us as well. It was just shocking. The Baines stuff got to me as well, obviously, because of you know how long he's been here and what he's done for the club. But the longer I've thought about it and the more I've thought about it, the more I've thought that's obviously the way in which he wanted to leave. He didn't want to leave with the big fanfare. He didn't want to leave with all of the attention being on him. And he was if that was the case, he was always going to go in this season when there's no fans in the stadium and when he could just walk out and you know, leave it all behind him. And I think from every sort of interview of every quote I've seen from ex-players and players that played with him, they speak very, very highly of him, but they all have a similar sort of story, and that is he was just a quiet lad who wanted to get in, do his job and get out the back door, and that makes perfect sense with how he's left. So that gives me a little bit of comfort knowing that he's done it his way and that he, you know, that's what he wanted to do rather than us sort of forcing him out, or the old Osman and Hibbert treatment where they just disappeared one day and we never hear from them again.
I was just saying, like, I was more upset about the result because I sort of half expected it with Baines.
Well,
I've seen report before the game saying, like, it doesn't look good that he's not going to sign a contract and stuff, so I sort of expected it. But it was sort of, like, I know he was happy to just go out on a quiet note, but it was still sort of sad to see him walk off the pitch with no fans there and we've just been beaten by a relegated team.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong, I'm the same, mate. I was much more, you know, fuming at the result, and the Baines thing was just like the cherry on the dreadful cake of the day, because, you know, it wasn't acceptable. We were beaten by a side that were relegated, and even during the game probably knew themselves that they were going to have a massive feat to stay in the Premier League, and we still didn't turn up. Even at half time, when they'd have looked at the scores and they'd have thought we're going to have massive trouble here, Everton still didn't go, right, okay, their heads are going to be a little bit down because they're looking at other games and other results, so let's go at them and let's try and win the game, and we didn't. And like you said, the Baines, it's disappointing because as a fan, you know, we want that whole, he deserves it, doesn't he? He deserves the standing ovation, he deserves the big massive fuss about him, but if he doesn't want it, you know, he doesn't want it. And a lot of people are saying, oh, well, hopefully he'll come back for the testimonial or he'll come back. I don't see it. I honestly see with Leighton Baines, I see him just going, riding into the sunset with his family and us not hearing from him again for at least, I don't know, 5-10 years, and then he might come back as an ambassador or somebody that gets involved with Everton in the community a few times. I don't think he'll be like pundit week in, week out and in and around the club. I just don't see it. Again, Coleman done an interview, and I think Pienaar done an interview as well, and they both said that strangely he wasn't that into football. He wasn't football mad. He wouldn't be there watching every other game. He wouldn't be there keeping up to. He'd just be in a corner playing his guitar and doing his photography and you know, getting along with that, whereas, you know, obviously everybody else was mad into football, whereas he wasn't really like that, which is mad.
I heard that rumour about 10 years ago. Someone told me that he weren't that badly into footy. He's just really good at it. But whether it's true or not, but that's something I heard a long time ago.
Exactly, that's what I mean. When it's coming from players that have been in that dressing room with him, it must be, you know, must warrant some form of truth, because, you know, Pienaar said it, and Pienaar was one of the closest players to him at Everton, and he said, like, he wasn't, you know, massively into it. He just used to sit, play his guitar and do his own things, and that, it is mad coming from a player that's so good at the game to not be interested in it really. But that makes sense as to why he'd want to leave without the massive ovation and why he'd want to just go and ride into the sunset. So anyway then,
the best players I've ever seen for Everton, just before we get off, and just want to say that.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. And I don't know if you've seen the stuff on social media after it, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I completely appreciate and understand, and I've got nothing against people's opinions, but I don't know if you've seen the stuff after it, debating whether or not he's a legend because he didn't win a trophy for the club.
I know what they're saying, yeah. But I don't know. I'm not answering.
I get it. I do get it, but
he's sort of a legend to me. But when you go putting it down in club folklore, yeah, I know what people are saying. I can see both sides of that argument.
Yeah, I do get it. I just think a player who's given us that much time, and not only his ability and his years at the football club, but also the little things like the turning down clubs that he could have gone and earned 4 times as much as that he's on. He could have gone and won all of the trophies in the world. He could have gone and lived in a lavish mansion somewhere. They were turning down that, getting his head down, being professional, always there. And the more and more interviews that you see, Coleman done one with the club, Pienaar's done one with the club, various other ex-players have come out and tweeted, the more you sort of find out about the player, first person in training, always wanting to do more, always in the gym, dragging players in the gym, getting players involved, making sure everybody's up to scratch. It's that sort of leadership that some people were very critical of on the pitch that we didn't see because he wasn't a loudmouth, everybody look at me, I live this lavish lifestyle. He was a quiet lad from what we see, but obviously in training he wasn't, and that shows with that shows with all of the players talking about him. On to transfers then. We'll get into the first one straight away because it's the title of the live stream and I can already see a load of live comments about it. Wilfried Zaha, a player that we were massively linked with in the summer. I think we were massively interested in. I don't think there was as many bids as that were reported by certain news outlets that get paid a lot of money. Sky Sports, I'm basically calling out there, who was stating that we'd bid about 4 or 5 times for him or something ridiculous like that. The club I think come out after that whole saga and said we bid once, and then when it was rejected we sort of just walked away. But either way, there was interest. There was very clear interest from the football club. I think last summer we all thought Wilfried Zaha could be that player that could come in and turn us into a top 6 side, be that player that comes in and almost guarantees us Europe, that bit of flair, that added spark, that player that we desperately need. Now obviously a full season's gone by, and not only do we know that he hasn't had a great season himself at Crystal Palace, and I do put a little bit of that down to the fact that he probably didn't want to be there. He was just there because he was contractually obliged, and at the point where he made it clear that he wanted to leave, it was too late. But we also know that Everton weren't in a position to just sign Wilfried Zaha and finish in the top 6, considering the absolute dreadfulness of our central midfield. So the rumours crop back up. The Daily Mirror reported yesterday that Everton is still said to be interested in Wilfried Zaha. Apparently Carlo Ancelotti is an admirer of the player now. There's a lot of rumours around him price. There's no price tag being put on him in any of these rumours, but some people are still believing that it would be around 70-80 million pounds. I think he's still got a couple of years left on his contract. He's obviously a prize asset to Crystal Palace, 27 years old. Do you sit in the set? I don't know what boat you sat in last summer, whether you really wanted him, whether you thought he could come in and give us that boost that we needed, almost that flair player that would take us to that next level. If so, do you sit in the same boat now, or are you weighing up how much he'd cost us and his age and stuff and just thinking leave it alone, that ship sailed?
Yeah, I done a write-up for it for the website actually, saying how much I'd actually like to sign him last year.
Okay.
I just thought he massively would have improved us. It would, at the time we were playing Richarlison on the wing, weren't we? And I just thought, we'll have Richarlison on one wing, him on the other, Keane or Calvert-Lewin in the middle. I just thought could have been a great front three.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cam.
Sorry, no worries.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Sorry about that. But like you said, things have changed a little bit. I think he got 10 goals last year, and I don't know if it was 10 assists to seen as well, but I think he's halved everything this year. He hasn't had as good as a season. It's been half as good. Whether that's down to him losing a bit of interest because of Crystal Palace, he's been there that long and wants a new challenge. But I'm still in the boat a little bit of I would like to sign him. However, not for the price of 60-70 million.
Yeah.
I'd maybe 40 at tops. Yeah. Because obviously he's a year older now and hasn't had that good of a season compared to the one before, but I do think he'd improve us. However, when you say he'd improve us, you've got to a lot of players that improve us. Sometimes they've got to be more improved than other players you link with.
Spot on.
So, but I do think he's probably better than all of our wingers.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
I would have him. I would have him. Yeah.
That's it. Spot on. You know, you just hit the nail on the head there. You know, Wilfried Zaha's pretty much halved his numbers this season. He's got 10 goals and 10 assists. I think it is. You're right. And that's still a lot better than any of our other wingers. I think our highest scoring winger was Bernard on 4, and for 99% of the season he didn't turn up. Theo Walcott got 1 goal, Iwobi got 1 goal. I'm not classing Richarlison as a winger, even though he played the last couple of games, because he played the majority of the season up front, so he's still significantly better than anything that we've got on the wing, and he would still massively improve us. But you're right, whereas last season I think we put a lot of faith in the centre of midfield. I think when we were coming into this season, the centre of midfield wasn't a massive issue. I wouldn't say we had high hopes for Fabian Delph, but we thought he'd come in and he'd be able to do a professional job and he'd be able to get his head down, a little bit like Gareth Barry. He hasn't. He's come in, he spent most of the season injured, and this time that he hasn't spent injured, he's either spent putting in average performances or arguing with fans. Obviously, it hasn't gone Joe-Philip Obama's way as well. He's been at the club a year now. This time last year, we were saying, right, okay, he is the replacement for the Tissagarnagay. He's going to play all season. We don't need to focus on the midfield. That's obviously not worked out. So I think, you know, I think whereas we may have been in a position to spend 50, 60 million pound on a Wilfried Zaha last season and warrant it, I don't think we're in that same situation now. Would I like him for the right price? Yes, I would. I think he is a good player, 27 years of age. Like I said, that's where again the money starts to come into it. He would improve us, no doubt. He would be the best winger that we've got at the football club. He would be on a lot of money, that's for sure. But again, with the money that we're going to spend this summer, especially with what's going on in the world right now and financial fair play, we really have to focus our funds on the positions that need addressing as a matter of urgency. And goalkeeper falls into that. We're not going to talk too much about goalkeeper today because I think I'll just go off my lid if I talk more about Jordan Pickford. But that sort of falls into that. We're only going to sign a goalkeeper, as in a number 1 goalkeeper. I do think we'll sign another number 2 replacement, but we're only going to go out and spend 25-30 million on another goalkeeper if we sell Jordan Pickford. And A, who's going to want to buy Jordan Pickford? And B, is it a priority position? Probably, if we want to be a Champions League winning team. Could we go into next season with Jordan Pickford? Not ideally, but yes. Could we go into next season with Tom Davis, Gylfi Sigurdsson and who else is in there? Andre Gomez? No, definitely not, because they're not good enough. And like I said, I would like Wilfried Zaha at the football club. I think he's a good player, and even his stats, again, I agree. I think he might be getting a little bit bored with Crystal Palace now. I think he made it clear he wants to leave last season. He stayed because of situations and stuff, and I think out of respect for the football club. But it's become quite apparent now that, for a couple of seasons now, he's wanted to move on and he's wanted to move to that next level. And if Palace turn around and say 25-30 million, then maybe I'll entertain it, but I just don't think they will. I think they're going to want 60, 70 upwards, because he's their prize asset. If they sell Wilfried Zaha, a lot of their goals, a lot of their creativity, a lot of their assists goes out the window, so they have to replace that. And in this day and age, you can't replace that with 15-20 million pound unless you've got absolutely unbelievable recruitment. So it's a difficult one, isn't it? Like I said, last season I think we had I think every Evertonian had a much different view of things with Wilfried Zaha, because we all sat in that camp thinking the midfield would be okay this season. Now we're sitting here saying the midfield's atrocious. We'll probably need 2 fullbacks as well. Don't forget, Sidibe's gone to Monaco and it doesn't look like he's going to sign. So if John Joe Kenny doesn't cut the mustard, and if Brandon Ancelotti don't think John Joe Kenny's good enough already, we're going to need another right back, and we're going to need another left back as well. I don't think Nkunku's ready to come into the first team and settle down. He's only just signed and he'll be going straight into the under-23s. So that's 2 fullbacks, 2 centre midfielders. Again, maybe a centre back, which is being touted. I think wingers are also a key position, but again, it's a pecking order, isn't it? And who's the priority first?
Well, obviously the priority is centre mid. I think we need maybe even 3 centre mids, but at least 2. But I do think wings are a problem as well. I do think it's been a problem for us this season. I think the whole 4 across the middle has been terrible. I could not happily, but if we went into next season with the 4 at the back and the 2 up front and a totally different midfield, and that was it, I'd probably snap your hand off.
Yeah, I would as well.
I know we need a right back. I'm not saying Seamus Coleman is as good as what he was. He's not. And we definitely need a right back, but I just think that midfield needs it, and that includes wingers for me, but definitely centre mid first. But there's just no creativity on them wings at all. Bernard is, I just don't know if he's up to this league no more. I don't, or it doesn't even look interested. every time he comes on, he doesn't even do nothing. It's just, I don't know what to say. He looked quite bright at the start of the season as well, but I'm not totally writing him off. But it's just he's not doing the job at the minute, and we need someone maybe like Zaha, who's a bit more powerful, a bit more direct, a bit more, who can carry the ball a little bit.
No, I agree completely. And you hit the nail on the head there. We are, at the moment, there's no creativity, there's no energy, there's no fight, and creativity is massive. One of those centre midfielders for me needs to be a creative type of midfielder. And I know there's probably not a lot of them out there, but again, I always refer to him. I'm not a massive fan of him because of the way he left, but a Mikel Arteta-esque player who can sit in that middle and just dictate things. David Silva-esque, who's just left Manchester City, sits in the middle, doesn't have to do an awful lot of movement, doesn't have to run around 100 million times a game, just can sit there, has got a fantastic passing range, creates goals, gets forward and can score as well. At the moment, we've got nothing there, and you're right, it's across that whole four. The wingers have been atrocious this season. Our highest scoring player, other than Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think is Yerry Mina. Or it might be Bernard by 1 and then it's Yerry Mina. Theo Walcott 1 goal this season. It's not good enough for all of the effort. It's not good enough, Bernard.
I think Walcott's got 2,
he scored 2, of course. Yeah, 2 goals this season.
Not much difference.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. That shows how much of a blur this lockdown's been. But 2 goals, Bernard, 3 goals, 4 goals. It's not good enough whatsoever. And Zaha would massively improve that, and I do think it's a key position. But I think we also need to bring in some players with a bit of grit, some players with a bit of backbone. When we're down and when our heads are down and when we're in the dumps and when we're not doing well, there doesn't seem to be anybody on the pitch that looks at players and goes, you need to fucking improve here, or puts a hard tackle in and goes, that's the standard, you copy that. There just seems to be players that walk around with the same mentality of, well, whatever, we'll just get on with it and we'll end it how it, whatever happens, instead of going, no, I'm going to set the tempo here, I'm going to set the stage. And you need, a lot of those players in the squad. Obviously, a centre midfield is massive to have, and that if we bring a centre midfielder in, throw a name out there because he's been linked numerous times, Allen, who throws in not a nasty tackle, but a tackle that lets you know he's there in the first 10 minutes, then maybe a Gomez will look and go, oh, I should be doing that, or a Davis will look and go, oh, I should be doing that. And I'm not saying that either of those two should be starting in the midfield next season, but we need players that set the tempo. At the moment, our tempo is atrocious. We didn't look like getting into the game on Sunday. I don't want to talk too much about last season because it's done now finally, and I know none of us want to talk about it, but when we went 1-0 down, I thought that's it. We got back into the game very luckily. When we went 2-1 down, I was like, done. Absolutely done. We're never getting back into this game. There's not one player, other than probably Moise Keane, who was obviously taken off not long after, who looked like they wanted to really, really dig their heels in and get involved. No, I agree. He shouldn't have took him off. No, he was our best player again. Similar to the game against Newcastle, he took him off in that game as well, didn't he? And he was our best player in that game. But yeah, look, I think just to summarise on Zaha, then we'll go through a few comments and then we'll go on a little summary. Cal says, Cam knows me and how bad I want Zaha. Without a doubt, Zaha is a must. Quick, skillful, has a finish, gets crosses in, causes problems, something that Iwobi and Bernard don't. Well, yeah. Again, I play Sunday League and I probably think of 3 players in my Sunday League team who would be a better than Bernard and Iwobi this season, who have got more creativity and who do more. I think the thing that Theo Walcott's got for him is that he's always direct. He gets down those wings, he throws balls in, he's got the determination. He hasn't always got the final ball and he hasn't always got the quality, but at least he's got the determination. And Wilfried Zaha would definitely bring that. But it's the price, innit? If you turn around and said 25 million Wilfried Zaha, would you take it? Yeah. If you turn around and said 80 million, I'd turn my phone off and say, don't even talk to me, because we're just not in a position to look at that now, are we?
Maybe they'll drop the price a little bit if he starts forcing the move, or if it gets closer to deadline day and he really does want to leave and you just know he's not going to be happy there, maybe they'll drop the price a little bit.
Yeah. But I think
that's what they'll probably start shouting out to be honest, at the start. If some clubs go in for them now, that's what they're going to start off with. Yeah. Oh, we had 80 million, so
exactly. And I also think for all of the criticism he's had in the past over his attitude, I also think he's got quite a good attitude. He could have sat down last summer and said, I don't want to play for this football club. I've wanted to leave. I've made it clear I want to leave. So I don't want to. I don't want to play for this football club, but he doesn't. He got his head down, he worked hard, and he continued. And I think Crystal Palace maybe played him a little bit last season and potentially promised him a move, and then said, oh no, you're not going. And then he got his head down, and maybe this is the season where he's said, right, I'm definitely going now. But
Hodgson's already come out, and he said he's told me a few times he wants to leave. He came out the other day and said it. So I think they are gearing up to get it. To be honest, when the deadline window comes, I don't think he'll be at Crystal Palace. No, whether it's with us or not, I don't know.
I don't, but like you just mentioned then, really, really good point. I fear that you're going to get a Chelsea or a Tottenham come in and go bang 60 million, and that just wipes Everton out the conversation then, because obviously they're not going to take a lower bid for him. And realistically, are we in a position to spend 60 million at the moment on a winger? Probably not. That could get us 2 decent centre midfielders that are desperately needed. Don't get me wrong, if they say 60 million and we've already signed 2 centre midfielders and we're in a decent position to do that, yeah. I think a big part of this conversation, as well as what I've seen on social media over the last couple of days or so, is people saying, oh, we'll just give Palace Delph and Iwobi and Bernard and Sigurdsson and Gabaman and whatever else, and it's like, well, first of all, those Tosson's another one, and I understand Tosson slightly because he's been there, but Palace would have to want those players, and who in the right mind would want Bernard this season, would want Sigurdsson, would want Delph? Why would they go, oh yeah, we'll get rid of our prized asset who scores goals to bring in 2 lampposts and a player that's inconsistent? It's just...
It just reminded me, I was just laughing, it reminded me of a tweet I seen, a short Everton story it was, and it was 4 pictures, and it said, what was it, Palace want... We offered something like McCarthy and Tosin for Zaha, and Palace said no. And then the next picture is McCarthy in a Palace shirt, Tosin in a Palace shirt, and Iwobi signing for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's mad. It's mad.
Yeah, but you've got to get all them players to agree to go as well if you want to do swap deals and all that. Exactly. They're not just going to go over, yeah. So.
It's not a case of going, we'll have him, and you have these 3 who have been absolutely shite this season, as if Palace are going to go, yeah, that's sound. They'll look at us and go, nah, if you're getting him, we want... Then they'll probably say something ridiculous like, we want Richarlison, or we want Calvert-Lewin, or we want Dean. And that wouldn't be out the ordinary, because they're getting rid of one of their prized assets. They'd want one of ours. They're not going to want our dead wood. They're a Premier League team. They're a team that are in and around mid-table, as we are now.
The only one he might be off for though is maybe Tosin, because
he's been.
I remember the chairman saying he was quite happy with him.
Yeah.
But he got injured, didn't he?
Yeah.
So maybe that one.
He liked him there. He did. He liked him there, but again, I think of how much money we'd have to spend plus Tosin to get Wilfried Zaha in. It wouldn't be a straight swap deal, of course. We'll do another couple more then on Zaha. Ewan says no need for Zaha, in my opinion. I think they'll want like 60 million for him, and he'll be slightly better than Iwobi. Fair point. I think they will want a lot of money for him. I think he'd be better than Iwobi. I don't think it's hard to be better than Iwobi, to be fair. Where are we then? We'll get a couple more on Zaha. Cal says throw 60 million, Tosin, Bernard and Delph for Zaha, but they'd have to want those players first. Cal also says now Palace are willing to sell. He won't be as much as he would have been. Palace have finally found the success through the youth system. Fair point. Cal also said Zaha has been amazing. He wants to leave. They basically ruined his season and his plans. Well, he has made it evident that he wants to leave a couple of times, hasn't he? John says Wilfried Zaha stats 4 goals and 5 assists this season. It was 10 and 10 last season, so he's halved it. And again, 4 goals is the same as Bernard, which isn't good enough whatsoever. But if he can get to that level of last season, obviously that's probably about right where we need to be. But he's a year older. Is he going to be able to get to there? I don't know, which is probably why we wanted him massively last season. Somberio says lots of those assists were penalties created. I'm not too sure, mate. I'm not too sure, to be perfectly honest with you. Potentially, though.
Isn't it? When you look at stats, it's a little bit hard. It's a bit of a grey area in some of them.
That's it, exactly. Mark says, hi lads, we have too many mediocre players in the squad and we need to offload them ASAP. Well, I agree, and we'll mention that when we talk about the Richarlison tweet a little bit later. And Mark says, Zaha has 4 goals, 5 assists, just what we need, an overpriced 27-year-old left winger. Well, it depends what they'd want for him, doesn't it? And Hennessy says, if you could get 4 realistic signings, who would you go for? Mine would be Zaha, Aarons, Allen and Gabriel. We'll talk about them towards the end of the stream then in terms of signings. Another rumour then that's come up over the last 24 hours or so, strangely, it was today at some point, about dinner time it was, regarding former Chelsea fullback Branislav Ivanovic. I think he's currently playing in Serbia at the moment. Serbian news outlet Novosti put an article out stating that Everton were in deep negotiations for the player. Jordan made a good point before the stream. I think he played under Carlo Ancelotti at Chelsea. But they said that Everton are in deep negotiations. The player's also been in negotiations with another side. However, he favours a move to the Premier League, and if we were interested, he'd want to come. The Liverpool Echo reported about 45 minutes ago that Everton are not interested in Branislav Ivanovic. This was one of them, look, 36 years old, defender, very, very good defender in his day, very, very good defender, won an awful lot with Chelsea, and rightly so. Obviously, as soon as this was rumoured, it was like, you know, why would we go in for him? He's ancient, he's about 90, he's got no pace, he's got no urgency. I looked at it and I laughed a little bit, and I thought, that's too mad to not be true. Like, that's just completely random. I can see there being something in it. Again, the rumour, a little bit like the Zaha one, stated that Carlo Ancelotti was an admirer of him and believed he could come in. Obviously, he plays in a position that we're going to need backup in. He sort of suits at the moment to bring a player in for 1 year who's got experience and can just sit and do a job, whilst we look for a younger fullback. So, again, I didn't know what to think of it initially. I don't know. I just think that it's that mad that there must be something in it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's absolutely nothing in it. I wouldn't be surprised if there is something in it because of the fact we need a fullback, and he's got the experience. He could come in for a year. He probably wouldn't cost much on wages. He probably wouldn't cost much on transfer fee, and he'd probably do a job if needed as well. What do you think on it then? What did you think when you seen the rumour firstly today, and again, did you just look at it and go, wow, Everton?
I just thought, are we getting linked with anyone exciting here?
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I can't be too much of a hypocrite here because I would have been happy with Baines staying another year and he's the same age as him. Although I do think Baines was a better player, to be honest. But then again, he's won everything, Ivanovic, so he does know what he's doing on the football pitch. But I just think it's a bit of a slightly embarrassing if we sign him, I do. Yeah. Especially when we've made out that we've got all this money as a football club and as a fan base and stuff. I just... Knowing look, Dean will get injured and he'll play the whole season.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's a really... Look, personally, no, I wouldn't get him, but I can see why we would as a backup, maybe. Yeah. But personally, I wouldn't go for him at time fans. A young lad who might be able to learn a little bit and come into the game here and there. I forgot the fella's name who we've signed for the under-23s. I don't know if he's ready or not, but I don't know. Maybe it might be a job for the year while he sort of finds his feet in the under-23s. But personally, no.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree. I wouldn't take him. I'd rather bring in a younger player who can learn a little bit. Maybe bring in a younger player, put him out on loan, because again, with the Richarlison stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute, Luca Dean's probably only a couple of interviews away from saying, listen, if we don't bring in real quality in this summer and if we're not fighting for something, then I'm probably going to look, I'll need to sit down and think about my future, because he is a player that should be playing at least European football in the Europa League, definitely probably Champions League as well. I wouldn't sign Ivanovic myself, but again, I wouldn't be completely shocked if that rumour was to be true and that if Everton were interested in him. One thing I would say is if the rumour was to be true and to be believed, I think it would be 100% a Carlo Ancelotti signing. It would scream to me Carlo Ancelotti coming in and saying, right, well, we know we need to improve, we know we need this player, that player, we know we need to bring in younger players, but I know an experienced guy who could come in, cheap wages, do a job for a year, get his head down and then go off and retire just for cover. Let me bring him in. It would scream that for me. Again, for the wages, I wouldn't bring him in myself. I also think for the sheer fact of the matter, and not that this means an awful lot in football terms, but again, it will be a toxic environment if we brought a player like that in, 36 years old, when we know we need to improve and we know we need to bring younger players in, players at the start of their career. I've said it, we've said it, both of us have said it numerous times on these live streams and on videos and in conversations that Everton should be looking at younger players who are at the start of their career, who have actually got something to fight for, who have got something to prove, who have got a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, as to say, no, I want to prove to my coach when I was a kid or to this manager of this team that I am good enough to play in this league, not players that have necessarily been there and on the way down and just wanting to collect the wage. Having said that, I think you need to find a fair balance. I think there is genuine players at the top that are on the way down that could say, right, okay, Gareth Barry-esque, if you like, right, okay, I could go in there and I could do a job and I'd work my arse off, but those players are few and far between the other style, which is I've been there, I've done it, where can I go and pick up £100 a week and just waltz around and do absolutely fuck all, and that's what you'd have to determine. If Ivanovic was to come in, I think it would be a massive Carlo Ancelotti signing. It would be a player that he would clearly trust, and we see that with every manager, don't we? Marco Silva brought Cuco Martina in, that didn't work, but again, not Marco Silva, it was Koeman, wasn't it? Was it Koeman? It was Koeman.
Cuco Martina?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Koeman brought Cuco Martina in because he'd had him at Southampton, he'd trust him. We'd seen it before. We've seen Roberto Martinez bring in James McCarthy, Aruna Kone. Again, McCarthy ended up working well, Kone didn't, but he was a player that he trusted. We see it with a lot of managers in football. It's not rare for managers to come in and fit, one of their first signings they make as an older player who has played under them before, who they know and who they trust, because it just brings that experience. And like we said, sometimes it works. Gareth Barry, sometimes it really, really doesn't work. Every other example really that's ever signed for Everton. Fabian Delph, there you go.
Well, thing is though, if he was thinking, we're going to give Baines another year, what's the difference with Ivanovic? Because he's the same age anyway, and we're just going to use him like we were for Baines and hardly play all year.
Yeah.
So, like a backup, he might just think, I don't see the harm in it, because I know he's the same age anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And I do think we'll be after another left back, to be honest. I think the club put an awful lot of trust and faith in Leighton Baines signing that an extra year contract, and that was shown with the club trying to persuade him to stay even on the day of the last game of the season. Baines not officially making it, I don't think, his decision until after the game, or at least at some point during that day. I think the club put a lot of faith in Baines signing that year contract, and when he hasn't, I think now they're sort of thinking, right, okay, well, we need to go out and we need to sign a replacement or somebody that can come in and at least just fill a spot for a couple of weeks if need be, if Luka Dean needs a rest. Whether Ivanovic will be that player, I don't know. Would we like a younger player at the start of the career? Probably, but would the younger player at the start of the career come in and go, right, I'm happy to sit behind Luka Dean on the bench and probably not get many games? I think we need to be looking at those type of players for the midfield positions where we desperately need to bring players in to start week in, week out. So I don't want him because, again, it's not very inspiring, and I just think it'd create a negative sort of feeling. I wouldn't be surprised if we signed him, and I think as long as he got his head down and he didn't do the Fabian Delph arguing with fans, or the not bother turning up, or the not showing that he's arsed, as long as he come in, give it 110%, and I think he probably still has he's got the footballing brain, and definitely he probably hasn't got the legs, he probably hasn't got the ability that he used to have, but for a backup, for cheap, it wouldn't be the most unrealistic signing on the planet, would it?
I know. I just think maybe if you brought like a 31-year-old in for backup, it wouldn't be as bad. It's because he's 36. It's like the tail end of your career, isn't it? And that's what makes it more frustrating a little bit for fans, to be honest. So,
and I think the reason for that is because in previous years we've gone for these players at the tail end of the career, 35 or late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, but we've gone for them in positions that we massively need to improve, and we haven't necessarily gone for them and said, right, okay, we're bringing you in as a backup and to you, and say to the fans, okay, he's coming in, but he's only going to be a backup to him if need be. We've brought these late 20s, 30-year-old players in, and with the expression to fans is that he's going to start, he's got all of the experience, he's won this, he's won that. Delph, prime example. Kone, when he come in, was going to be the striker, and again, that doesn't work. I don't think fans would have a massive issue if they said, even like you said, the 31-year-old, I don't think fans would have a massive issue if he said he's coming in and he's just going to sit on the bench for 90% of the season. It's when you bring in those type of players in and saying, well, he's going to start because he's got the experience. That's when you go, nah, we should be looking at younger players. I don't think we'll sign him, though.
Sorry, no, I was going to say, I think you've got to be careful with backups as well, because we brought Cuco Martina in for that backup and he's playing the whole season. You've got to be careful. You've got to, if you do bring Ivanovic in, he's got to be up for playing the whole season as far as I'm concerned, because Lucas Dean could get a year injury in pre-season, and he's got to play nearly every game, or on the first game of the season or whatever. So you have got to be careful at the same time with backups. Like.
Yeah, you're right. You're spot on. They've got to be fit, and they've got to have the ability if need be. And obviously Ivanovic's CV and what he's won in the past says a lot. It doesn't say a lot for his quality at the moment. He's been playing in an average league for a long time. But we're not going to know how we really... Martinez is a fantastic example. He come in as backup and then he had to play and he was dreadful. He couldn't barely kick a ball. He lived his career off that one goal for Southampton. But again, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I understand it on one half, it's not inspiring, and if we come out the end of if we come out this transfer window and we go, Everton have signed, and again, every name I'll probably get laughed at in the comments, and you'll probably laugh, and people will probably go, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. In an ideal world, we come out this transfer window and we've signed Jack Grealish, Boubacar Samare, Ibrahim Sangare, Wilfried Zaha, Kenny Tete at right back, or Max Aarons, and then Branislav Ivanovic as backup left back. I think we'd all go, sound, happy days. But if we come out and we go, alright, we've signed Branislav Ivanovic at left back and a 32-year-old or a 29-year-old centre midfielder who's won a Champions League 25 years ago, that's where the disappointment would come in, wouldn't it? And you're right, he has to be up for it.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, it all depends. I think sometimes as well, like the first signing as well might get fans back up as well. I mean, if you sign 3 or 4 and then you sign Ivanovic, like you're saying, it's not too bad, I suppose. People just get images in the mind, don't they, and fume off it, but I can see both points to it, to be honest. Personally, like I said, don't want him, but
me too. I agree. Yeah. I agree.
There could be a bit worse left back. It's the legs that worry me of him.
Yeah.
Because you're 36, are your legs still going? We want our left back to get up and down the pitch.
Yeah. I agree. Spot on.
I think Christine does it, but virtually every game.
Spot on. Jeff says the Ivanovic story has already been denied by Everton. I assume you're referring to the Liverpool Echo article there. It was in the Echo. Yeah. Again, and it might be complete and utter bullshit. And the source didn't look the greatest source, like it was a newspaper from Serbia that I'd never heard of. But Everton have done that before, haven't they? They've come out and said, oh no, we're not interested in this player, and then the next minute they've signed. I mean, we didn't even announce Cuco Martina. He was spotted with a club trackie on getting off the coach. Like, who the fucking hell's this fella? And then the club was like, oh, we probably should announce him. John says, nobody keen on taking Ivanovic. Hennessy says, rather have the wages on someone younger. Fair enough. Mark says, you're taking the piss now. Sonny says, giving Kongu a chance in pre-season to see what he's got. I think he will get a chance, but I still don't think he's ready for first-team football.
I'd probably rather go with that, but then again, like I said, if Dean gets injured, then he's not up to it. Yeah.
Exactly. Enzio says, will be a decent backup there, cheap. What are we then anymore? Jeff says, obviously, the Ivanovic story was rubbished by Everton. Yeah, and I think it probably is rubbish. And when I read it, I first thought, that's probably a load of shit. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, I could understand it. I could, I get if we were interested in him. I get if we, we wanted him. Anyway, moving on then to probably the biggest story of the stream, which we weren't even going to talk about an hour ago because it hadn't come out. But Richarlison has supposedly had an interview with Sport Witness. And I just want to say before we go into talking about this quote, this is a direct quote from the interview. I think it's been taken out of context and I think it's been mistranslated. Because he says a certain phrase in it, which we'll go on to talk about in a second, that I just don't think he'd have said in that way anyway, because it doesn't make much sense for him to say it in that way. So apparently, Sport Pizza employed or asked somebody, a former Brazilian player or somebody who played in one of the clubs Richarlison had played for over in Brazil, to sit down with the player and talk about Everton. He said a lot of complimentary things about Everton. He said a lot of complimentary things about his improvement and his achievements with Brazil. But he also said one quote that's been doing the rounds and got a few people worried. And me and Jordan are going to talk about why I think, it's understandable and there's not an awful lot to be worried about with it, in my opinion anyway. So the direct quote was, I've evolved a lot here at Everton, and now with Ancelotti I will grow more. He asked me to hold on a little, aka stay on a little bit. But it all depends. If a good proposal come in, we sit down and talk. But I think I can hold on for another season. Now, the reason I think this has been misinterpreted and taken massively out of context is because why would he come out and say, I think I can hold on for another season? He's not on the edge of a mountain. He's not being forced. He 2 weeks ago said about how he wants to be an Everton legend and how he wants to spend a lot of time with the football club, and he loves the fans and he loves the club. And we all know that. Yeah, John says the original quote was from Globo Esporte. There you go. It's a quote from the player. So he has said something along these lines. Again, I think it's been taken out of context and I think it's been misinterpreted. I wasn't surprised by it. This is a player coming out and saying, ultimately, I have ambitions to play at the highest level of football. And if Everton can't offer me that, then at some point in the future, I might have to move on. He also says if a good proposal comes in, we sit down and talk. What we must remember, and it's hard to remember because there's a lot of emotion involved in the game, and there's a lot of emotion involved when you've got a player as good as Richarlison who very clearly loves the club and who always gives it 110%. We have to sort of take that emotion away a little bit and sit down and think football is a business. And with Richarlison saying, if a good proposal comes in, we sit down and talk, he's right in saying that. If Everton got a £150 million bid, £175 million bid for Richarlison, we would entertain it. Whether we like it or not, whether he's a fantastic young player, whether we should be building a team around him, we should be building a team around him. And if someone comes in with anything under 120, I think we laugh it off. But if someone comes in with the 150 million, especially with financial fair play, we would entertain it. Because if he did leave the football club, that would be times by 3 or whatever it is, and we'd have nearly £500 million to spend freely on improving the squad. And I'm not saying that we have to sell Richarlison to improve the squad. We don't. But it's silly to think that Everton could be given any offer for Richarlison and would go, no, not even entertaining it. He's our player, move on. We would entertain it. It's a business. Of course it is. Players come, players go. I done a live stream with with Tom T Logic a few months back, and he said something at the time. I was like, oh no, don't want to listen to that. I don't want Richarlison to go. But he said if Everton would offer the 160 million, we'd sit down and we'd talk about it, because it's a business. Players come, players go. You have to make profit. You have to utilise the money that you've got, and if you can get 150 million for a player and that can be invested into the squad properly, and you can then improve your squad massively and go on and be a Champions League fighting team yourself, why would you not entertain that? So he's right in saying we'd have to sit down and talk, because Everton would. They wouldn't just totally dismiss it. As well as that, I think Richarlison is coming out here in other words and saying, basically, if we don't massively improve, I could be looking at potentially seeing another football club here, because I want to be playing in the Champions League. I deserve to be playing in the Champions League. And he's right. He deserves to be playing at the highest level of football. For me, he is the best Brazilian striker on the planet, not including Neymar as a striker. And he is the best Brazilian currently in the Premier League. Certainly Brazilian forward in the Premier League. He deserves to be playing in the Champions League. He deserves to be fighting for trophies. He deserves to be fighting for titles. This, for me, is him basically coming out and saying, improve this squad massively and get rid of the shite that's in it. Otherwise, I might have to look at some point and think, I'm not further in my career. Not that Ancelotti and Brands need a wake-up call, but this should be the wake-up call if it's ever needed, is to say, if we don't get our heads in gear here, if we don't sort this out, if we don't get rid of your Sigurdssons and your Delphs and your absolute dross and your Iwobis if they don't improve, and we don't bring in absolute quality players, we're going to lose this lad next year. And I've had enough of Everton in the past turning round and saying, oh, please don't go, please don't go, please don't leave the football club, we love you, but then on the pitch not making any improvements and keeping the same old dross. Actions speak louder than words. Go out, sell the complete shit and bring in real quality and say to Richarlison, there you go, we've brought in players that are good enough to take us to that next level. Do you want to be part of that? And I honestly think he'd turn around and say, yeah, I love the football club, I love the fans, I'm happy here, yeah, I do want to be part of that. But if we just turn around and go, oh no, please don't go, we love you, and at the end of next season Richarlison's looking saying, well, Gylfi Sigurdsson's still starting every week with the captain's armband, well, Tom Davies is still playing near enough every week, Alex Iwobi's done nothing and he's still playing, Theo Walcott's still playing consistently, are we improving? No. Then obviously he's going to look elsewhere because he deserves that. This is on Everton now to improve. What do you think then, mate? That's just my little passionate rant about it, because again, I'm not upset with Richarlison for coming out and saying it, and I'm not surprised, and I actually think it needs to be a massive kick up the arse for the football club. What are your thoughts then? What did you think when you read it, and how do you feel about it?
Well, you made some amazing points there, mate. You basically said the lot for me. To be honest, I'm just hoping that he quotes the tweet later and just puts loads of crying faces because it's been misquoted a little bit. But on the other hand, what he's saying is right. I mean, this guy is on the tip of stardom here. He's got superstar written all over him. Yeah. Why should he be playing for a team who's 12th? Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? He's just... we said it last week, didn't he? All these South Americans, when Barca and that come in, they go. Yeah. I think that's where the most watched league in their country and stuff. But yeah, we like Lukaku, he left. He couldn't see where we were going to improve, could he? I mean, I feel like as fans sometimes as well, we're fed these false promises, and maybe he's got less time than us. Yeah. You know, his playing career, he's got what, another 10, 12, 13 years. He's gonna want to start winning stuff soon.
Exactly.
But and if it doesn't improve next year, then what he's saying, I can see him going. Yeah. We've all said along, like everyone comes out all the time and goes, "Oh, he's gonna break me out when he leaves." So we all know at some point he's probably gonna leave. But I just think, everything he said, I wouldn't really blame him if he went, put it that way.
Yeah, I agree, and I
hope he does give us another year. Like,
I think he will. I don't think, again, the comments, the bit at the end of it where it says, "I think I can hold on for another season," as if he's like got a gun to his head. I think that's basically been misinterpreted to say, I'm gonna stay another season. But the club need to prove to players like Richarlison, to players like Mason Holgate, that we're going in the right direction, and we've proved that off the pitch with Carlo Ancelotti coming in. And this is, again, even more why this summer transfer window is even bigger. This is the biggest transfer window I've known as an Everton fan, because if we do not get this right, not only are we going to struggle massively in the league, and again could be in danger of finishing just slightly above that relegation zone. Again, I don't want to say we're going to be in a battle, but you know what I mean, in and around that sort of area. Not only that, but your Richarlisons, your Holgates, your better players, your Deans are going to look next season and go, "We don't deserve this, we deserve to be better, and thanks for all of your time, and we love Everton," but like you said, they've only got a short career. And Richarlison, as much as we love him and as much as he loves the football club, he hasn't grown up an Everton fan. It's not been his dream all his life to play for Everton. He doesn't owe us nothing. He's scoring, he's been our highest goal scorer for the last 2 years near enough. He's been consistent, he's quality, he's scoring goals that no other Everton player has got the ability to score. If he continues that next season and the club don't prove to him that we're improving, and the club don't prove to him that we actually want to take that step forward and match his ambition, that's what we should be doing. We need to match Richarlison's ambition, and I think this starts with the fans as well, and it's nothing to do with the fans, and the fans aren't to blame for this whatsoever. But I've seen a lot of fans, when the quote come out saying, "Oh, that's it, Richarlison's going, he's gone, that's it, he's done, he wants to leave." He doesn't want to leave. What he's saying is that, there's two things that he's saying. The business side of it, he's saying, if a big offer come in, we'd sit down and talk, because we would. Whether you like it or not, we would. And the second part of it, he's saying, if this club doesn't match my ambition, if we don't improve, I may have to look elsewhere. We should be looking at that now as a fan base, and Everton should be looking at that going, right, that's it. It's easy. It's on a play for us. Improve. Get rid of the shite that he's currently playing with, because they're nowhere near good enough, and bring in actual quality players that are good enough to take us forward. You can tell on the pitch that he's just annoyed with some of the players around him. Him and Lucas Dean just look pissed off every game. Exactly, and you can't blame him, can you?
They're the two who put the effort in for me. Especially Lucas Dean, to be honest. I think he does put the effort in every game, but they're putting the effort in all around the pitch, and they're getting nothing. No one else is matching their effort or their ability, and it just must be so frustrating for them.
Exactly. You're spot on, and you can see that week in, week out. You can see Richarlison kicking the floor. You can see Richarlison being annoyed when a pass doesn't go his way. And Terry put a comment in saying, if you have European level players, then you need to play in Europe. It's the same at all clubs. Spot on. Jem also says, I hope Richie doesn't go, but definitely on board with the reasons why, though. I mean, Iwobi as a winger couldn't do Arsenal. But we buy it at a premium. I think, like I said, I've got absolutely no issue with what Richarlison's saying, and that's not because I love him and he's a fantastic player, but that's because, for me, Richarlison is effectively coming out and saying, improve, or you may lose me. And as fans, we're seeing that now. And as a club, again, even more reasons to why this is the biggest transfer window in possibly in the club's history, certainly in recent history, as to why we need to bring. We can't be fanning about saying, "Oh, well, Gylfi Sigurdsson's passing ratio is half decent." No, I'm not interested. He doesn't do enough. Same with Tom Davies, same with Alex Iwobi, same with Bernard, same with Theo Walcott. Replace these players, bring in real quality. And if we bring in real quality, and if we challenge for Europe next season, and Richarlison still says, "Look, I still want to go," then we've done absolutely everything we can to improve the team and to try and keep him. If we're sitting here at the end of next season and we've not improved and we're still finishing in and around 12th, 10th, and he looks at it and he goes, "I've had another 20 goal a season, 20 goals a season here, I need to look elsewhere." Carlo Ancelotti come out and said that he wants Richarlison to be scoring 30 goals a season. That's all fine and good, having those expectations of him, and I agree with him. But surely then Richarlison is allowed to have expectations of this football club to improve the players that he's playing with. He ain't scoring 30 goals a season with these players around him. He's done miracles to score the amount of goals he scored, 15 this season, considering the complete lack of creativity. So he is perfectly within his right to come out and say, well, if you want me to score 30 goals, then I need the players to come in and, help me and assist me to score 30 goals because they're not good enough at the moment. And like I said, obviously...
Don't look at that Lucas Dean-ball too. Give him one chance, mate.
Exactly. And like I said, I know it caused a little bit of anxiety probably and a little bit of frustration, but I completely understand it. I've got nothing against him saying it, and he's right, and it should be a massive wake-up call. Now, we shouldn't turn around and adopt this, let's roll over and get our belly tickled again and sell him to a bigger club. Again, I wouldn't even entertain the sale of Richarlison unless it was unbelievable amount of money that we physically couldn't turn down. But we need to...
The thing is, I don't know if any club will come in this window with that much.
Exactly.
But if he does, like you're saying, score another 20 or 30, they will next year.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly.
I think they just might... I don't know if they're going to risk it in this with what's happened with the COVID and everything and all that this season.
No,
but if he carries on, someone will come in next year.
I agree, 100% spot on. And you know what, mate? I think if we've massively improved this season, and let's say we finished 7th, let's say, argument's sake, we finish 7th, we finish within a European place next season, we bring in a creative midfielder, a midfielder that can get about the pitch, box-to-box, defensive-style midfielder, we bring in another winger, we bring in real quality. Richarlison scores 30 goals in Barcelona, or maybe not Barcelona, but Chelsea or United bid £160 million for him. I think Richarlison will look and go, well, you know what, no, we've improved as a football club. The club has proven to me that they want to improve. We're finished in a decent position. We're getting better. I'll stay here. If Richarlison ends on 20 goals next season, but the players around him are utter shite and we've finished 11th, 12th in the league again, why would he not entertain a move? Again.
I still think he might entertain a move if we finish like top 6, 7, but definitely if we finish 11th or 12th again.
Exactly.
He's off.
He'd have a right to, 100%. Let's get in the comments then and see what everybody has to say. Jem says there's too many players at the AFC who won't bust a lung or go in for that tackle that win the ball back. Sack players even not good enough. Get them gone. Thomas Robertson. Go on.
Who was it? She said. Oh, what, 2 players? Oh, I thought she said 2 players.
No, tack players not good enough for me. Too many players.
Oh,
which is spot on as well, spot on. If you're enjoying the scene, by the way, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. Thomas says, don't think we want to be keeping players imprisoned. If he leaves, we'll want it to be on our terms and not just him running down his contract, but I also can't see him leaving anytime soon. He won't leave this summer. Again, that sentence, I think I can hold on for another season. He won't leave this summer. He won't. He is effectively saying massively improved, bring in quality, and he knows he won't leave because this is the first proper season and the first proper transfer window with Carlo Ancelotti, one of the best managers in world football. If anybody's going to improve this squad, this team, which he loves, this football club, which he loves, it's going to be Carlo Ancelotti. So he'll sit there and he'll say, let me see what the best manager, one of the best managers in the world can do with this squad and with this team. And if it's not enough, then I'll move on. If it is enough, then I'll stay. Teddy says, I prefer all the players...
no one's leaving anyway.
Well, yeah, Ancelotti basically said that, yeah, get a fuck when no one's going. Yeah. Teddy says, I prefer all the players to have Richarlison's attitude, wanting to play at the best level. That's better than having so many players in a nice comfort zone who don't care. Spot on. And that's why, again, I can't be annoyed at him. And I'm not anxious about it, and I'm not overly frustrated because I understand exactly what he's saying. And I agree. I want my players. If Gylfi Sigurdsson come out and said, oh, if we leave, I might have to go and play, because I should be playing in the Champions League, I'd go, shut up, you're absolute tit, you're nowhere near good enough. Richarlison has proven that he is good enough, so it's nothing that surprises, is it? It's nothing that surprises. Jeff says it might have been true before, but this window feels more important than any other before. We've got to get this right or we disappear from relevance. We have. Like me and Jordan said, this is... would you say it's the biggest transfer window in your lifetime as an Evertonian? Because I'd say it is in my lifetime in terms of make or break.
Yeah, it's up there, isn't it? I mean, we've just, like you said before, we're in danger if we don't get this right.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Ancelotti at the helm, but he can only work with what he's got.
Exactly.
We're just... Look, I just want to say as well, the start of this window isn't looking too good. We're missing out on Højbjerg and rumours of Ivanovic. I know we said there's good and bad to it, but it just doesn't scream like we're going to have a good window, does it? I hope I'm wrong at the end of it, but this is a massive window. It really is. If we want to, like, this is the part now where it does make or break for the likes of Dean, Holgate, Richarlison, because next year, like we said, if we don't get it right now, they're just going to go, and it could be even worse. We could be even down the bottom somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we will, but you just never know in football. You never know.
Spot on.
And some of them players on that pitch, when I watch them, they're not asked.
Yep.
We have got to replace them.
Spot on. 100%, 100%. We'll finish up in a second then. Terry said Richarlison loves it here. If we're in the mix, then he'd love to stay, but he's not soft. He's not a mid-table player, so he's not going to waste his career. The ball is in Everton's court. Agree. And Jem says, I really hope the manager's pull can finally bring in players we need to push on. Hopefully, we can only hope. We'll finish it up there then. If you have enjoyed the stream, please do hit that like button. It means a massive amount to me. Loads of streams coming in the next few weeks if Jordan's happy enough to sit down and talk. Obviously, we'll be
talking about 3 different players next week.
Yeah, well, it'll be mostly transfers, won't it? Because that's all of the news that we're going to get now is it's transfers and players being linked left, right and centre. So we'll have loads of streams, loads of content on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new. Check out Jordan's channel as well in the description down below. Unbelievable movie reviews and movie content. Check them out. Check Jordan out. You can check us out as well if you want, the Mighty Blues. We're going to be doing season review live stream tomorrow, and then on Friday as well, split into 2 parts, and then we'll have loads of transfer content next week, and we'll probably talk about Richarlison as well. Big thanks for watching. Please hit the like button if you have enjoyed. Massive thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. If you've enjoyed the stream, please do hit the like. Jem says cheers, Cam and Jordan. Thank you very much, Jordan, for joining us. Anything to say before we finish up?
Just nice one, mate. Really enjoyed it again.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for getting involved.
Definitely. Brilliant stream again. I hope you all have enjoyed. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. We'll be back next week, I'm assuming, as long as everything goes well. Talking more transfers. Hopefully, we've got a couple of better players, and hopefully, like John said before, Richarlison's come out and put a few laughing faces and said, "That's not what I said at all. Stop making shit up." Mark says Cam should be an auctioneer. There you go. Maybe. Big thanks for watching. Please do hit the like button if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you soon.